There's never a dull moment in the CHQ. How could there be? We've got people from all walks of life, death, and even undeath. A collection of outcasts and lab rats, the ostracized and the sacrificed, the melancholic and the fractured. No one truly knows where the central headquarters came from, or even how it came to rest outside an omniverse. I, of course, am the only exception. But before I reveal to you the true nature and purpose of the CHQ, let's catch you up to speed on how things work around here and the current state of affairs. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. Sorry about that, recruit. I am the founder of this fine establishment and the creator of all that exists. You may simply call me the Interronator. Just kidding. The name's Nate. As you enter the observation room, you see the subject of the interviews. A thin boy with light brown skin, gray eyes, gold glasses, a neat stack of thick white dreads, and a deadpan expression on his face. All right then. State your full name, age, and occupation. I don't see why you need me to tell you that. You clearly have it on the sheet in front of you, and we've been working together for a while now. You're taken aback by the similarities of their voices until you notice that they also share a few other similarities as well. Then it hits you. Alternate versions of the same person. Humor me, please. Neutralis, 17, student and vigilante. Any siblings? One, Sire Soharu. Mind explaining why you don't share a last name? Why are we doing this again? You already know all of this. We are doing this because we don't have any documentation of our members or what they can do. Now, I'm going to pretend like I don't know anything, so answer my questions with answers, not more questions. Nate gives you a thumbs up under the table, even though his intent was obvious. Okay, we don't share a last name because my name is actually Alfonso Haru, and I am one of 7 fragments of his mind, representing his neutrality. Explain. In the world that we came from, everyone is born with an alter, a superpower, and the alter we have is called split actualities. This effectively split Alphonse into 7 different fragments, each with its own alter, subalters. As you were about to mutter to yourself about how that sounded very familiar, both New and Nate locked onto your eyes and glared you down, almost as if they were saying, "We know," before returning to the interview as if nothing happened. Since you represent neutrality, I assume the others represent his other emotions. Indeed. Aside from me, there's Ragium, the fragment of rage and strength, Nth Joy, the fragment of ecstasy and constitution, Terron's Parafear, the fragment of terror and defense, Sabbath Downs, the fragment of grief and wisdom, Virgil Gust, the fragment of loathing and agility, and Inu Dessery, the fragment of vigilance and charisma. And how about you? I'll be interviewing the others shortly, so just focus on yourself. I am the fragment of neutrality and luck. Hold on, luck? What do you mean by that? It means remaining neutral to an event often gives me a better shot at things. Back to what I was saying. My subalter is normal force. It enables me to act as perfect normal force on any object I touch. So if someone dropped a building on you, you would be able to hold it in place? Yes. I should also mention that all of our subalters are restricted to our manifestations. Does that mean you can only use them when you're in control of the body? Not necessarily. You see, we can all manifest our represented emotions as a weapon or tool. While we can't change the category of weapon it is, we can change specific properties of it. And after we reconcile with an old friend, we gain the ability to manifest our self-projections as tangible spirits whenever our different fragment is in control. So when I say my normal force and the other subalters are restricted to our manifestations, I just mean that they apply to things we don't share, for the most part. Okay. If I understand this correctly, you would only be able to use normal force if you use your weapon or if you manifest your spirit while another fragment is in control. That is correct. All right. Thank you for your participation. Simply doing what was asked of me. Your eyes widen as new is replaced by a nearly identical replica, but their hair and eyes have turned bright red. They have a much more aggressive tone, and their clothing has changed to some kind of imperialistic war attire mixed with casual clothing. It seems that these fragments were not only personalities, but people. State your. No need for formalities. You should know by now that I don't care for them. You started rising from your seat in the observation room, expecting Nate to do the same, but he wasn't moving. There are supposed to be 6 other people to interview. Wouldn't it be best to. Your focus is torn from Nate as a red cloud emerges from the side of your vision. As you peer through the cloud, you notice something different about New. Name, age, and occupation. Ray Geum, 17, student and roaming peacekeeper. Any siblings? Of course. I'd kill anyone who hurts them. I'd tear their limbs off and. Okay, I get it. Just say their names so we can move on. New, Ent, Terry, Sab, V, Inu, and Cyrus. Interesting. So you consider the other fragments to be your siblings? Thinking about losing them angers me just as much as it does when I think about losing Cyrus. Although, not as much as them. What was that last part? Nothing. Moving on. Fine. New told me about your main altar, split actualities. So tell me about your subaltar and manifest weapon. Wait, did he tell you how we got subalters? You made it sound like you all had them because you were basically different people, and as such got your own altars. Is that not true? No, that's correct. Anyway, my manifestation weapon is a plague doctor's staff named Malfesian Torment. Well, my subaltar is Wrath's Retribution. How fitting. But before you continue, I'd like to ask one thing. Do you all share the same brain? What part of different people do you not understand? We each have our own physical forms, and we replace our bodies entirely whenever we switch. What I was trying to get at was if you all pull from the same knowledge, or if you each maintain your own. I already answered that, but to put it in a way that you can understand, we each have our own brains with our own information that only we can access. But then how do you know when a given situation requires a different fragment to take control? Oh, I see what you're asking now. Why am I so stupid? We could do something akin to astral projection, but combined with possession, so we can observe our surroundings and take over when deemed necessary. Thanks. Sorry I didn't pick up on it earlier. You're all good. I'll get some clarification later. Back to your subaltar. Right. My subaltar, Wrath's Retribution, enables me to convert my anger into energy that functions as a resource that I can expend to either boost my strength or heal myself. I can also discharge the energy through my staff to various effects, like slowing or freezing movement, energy waves, or projectiles, but usually healing. Fascinating. So you repurpose your anger for different uses. Hold on. Since you said that you convert your anger, does that mean you can actually forcefully cause another fragment to step in because you consumed all your anger? It angers me to say this, but yes, it does mean I can burn out of anger. It has happened more times than I like to admit. Thank you for your input. And thank you for reminding me why you anger me. Yo, Nate! How's my favorite leader doing? I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. But I'm going to need you to. And Joy, 17-year-old student and spreader of joy and justice. I take it you were listening in? Yup. Unlike Ray, I spend the majority of my time watching in on the exciting things that the others are doing. Well, I guess I'll have to spice it up a bit then, huh? Alright then, what's your subaltern and manifest weapon? My subaltern is Fabrication Smith, and my manifest weapon is a smithing hammer that can turn into a warhammer, the Joyous Rumbler. Isn't Fabrication Smith kind of redundant, seeing as it means creation creator? Yes it is, but it's also not. I feel like you're trying to get back at me. I am. Essentially, it allows me to create anything by loading the materials into the Joyous Rumbler and then striking an area that has enough room to fit whatever it is I'm making. So you're just a blacksmith that just needs imagination rather than muscle or skill. Yup, Although I still do have both of these as they speed up the creation time and decrease the number of materials consumed. Okay, moving on. What's your relationship with your elder brother, Cyrus? We're thick as thieves. He's the ever shining pinnacle that I strive to reach one day. He's also super adaptable. He even heard him. Whoops, that's irrelevant. Sorry about that. Okay, how about your mother, Oharu Hokurashi? I love her, of course. She's the coolest job ever. I wanted to make things that never existed so badly that it ended up being my coping mech. You've gone too far, trees for brains. Thanks, Ray. I almost said something I wasn't happy about. While I am curious as to what you were talking about before, would you mind explaining what you meant by wasn't happy about? I completely understand your confusion, dude. I represent ecstasy, not happiness. It is possible to be ecstatic about things you don't like, you know. Pretty sure that's just self-torture. Wait, don't you all represent the spectrum of your emotion? See, now you understand. That's everything I need from you. Thanks for your cooperation. It was my pleasure. Name, age, and occupation, please. You're not recording this, right? Don't worry, it's only going to be shared online for everyone in my universe to see. Oh, that's fine. Terrence Parafear, 17 years old, student, and unfortunate risk taker. I've noticed that each of the fragments acts somewhat differently than what you expect them to. Was it really that big of a difference? Well, if you think about it for more than a second, yes. Take Ray, for example. He represents anger and rage, as you obviously know. Still, unlike what he represents, he's actually incredibly thoughtful and sincere. That's one way to put it. I, for one, wouldn't call risking the lives of people you care about or share a body with sincere. He runs the CHQ's Abandoned Animal Adoption Center. Who cares if he saves animals or finds them a good place to call home? It still doesn't excuse his reckless behavior. You know what? I'm not going to press you further on this because I know you won't show weakness. Just know that I'm not going to bail you out the next time you get used like a bouncy ball. Hold on, what was that last part? Tell me your subalter and manifest weapon. Fine, keep your secrets. I'll have Virgil tell me later. As for the information you requested, my subalter is Instact. It creates a 3-meter radius sphere centered on our heart, in which I could see anything and everything that could happen up to 10 seconds into the future. Real quick, is it only visuals or is sound also received? I said see, did I not? You did, but I was just checking. Another question, is it permanently active, even when you're not in control? Yes. Can I please finish talking now? I'm starting to regret doing this. Go on. Thank you. So long as it presses, poses, enough of a threat, whether literally or by my decision, I can avoid the situation via reflex or direct control. Now, a manifest weapon is an aegis that can extend into a bubble shield called Skeptic's Refuge. Is that all? Thank you for your time. And yes, that is all.
Don't even bother. Virgil Gust, 17 years of age, and a superhero wannabe.
Well, Virgil, I have many a question for you.
Of course you do. Don't push your luck.
You and I both know you wouldn't win in a one-on-one battle with me.
And I hate that you're right.
Now that we have that settled, how exactly does a fragment know when to take control, especially when it's between anger and disgust?
While we each have our own individual brains, they are actually fragmented pieces from a central brain. That central brain processes the information we perceive and calls upon the fragment that best responds to the stimuli. However, the brain isn't capable of storing information. Think of it as a trade-off for being able to process information at near light speed.
Talk about an info dump. Mind explaining why you know all of this?
I'm the smart one.
Noted.
As for when it comes to what Ray and I preside over, that's clear as...
No, it isn't.
Day. Shut up for 2 seconds, would you? I hate it when you try to finish my sentences.
See? You're proving my point. You are clearly very annoyed. Which, according to Plutchik's Wheel of Emotions, goes under Ray's jurisdiction of rage.
I'm not annoyed at all. I'm simply disgusted that you have been clearly contradicting your previous statement that you were going to pretend like you didn't know anything. And you, of all people, should know how much I loathe willful ignorance and lying. Also, hating something doesn't mean it makes you angry.
Okay, you're right about the hate thing, but technically, I'm acting like I don't know anything, as I acted as if you didn't hate lying, and lied to your face despite knowing you hate liars.
You make me sick.
Just trying to draw the worst out in you.
Taking full advantage of our recovery, I see.
Okay, can one of you please tell me what this accident was? I'm not lying when I say I don't know about it.
No. It is personal information that can only be revealed from a third-person perspective.
Just say mind reading. You're not a story.
So, are we going to stay on this tangent, or are you going to ask me the rest of the questions?
Fine. What is your subalter and manifest weapon?
My manifest weapon are the twin omnitools Zenith and Lucretia, although I usually have Zenith as a short sword and Lucretia as a hand cannon.
Where did you get those names from?
They came to me in a dream.
Really?
No. And if you say another word, I'm leaving. My subalter is a simulogress, which allows me to copy the abilities and skills of those I fight and incorporate them into my arsenal. They take the form of different ranged weapons. But the more I use a weapon that isn't my own, I run the risk of triggering a recoil when I switch back. This recoil can be positive or negative. A positive recoil occurs when the person I'm copying can do something I can't but want to do, and it causes a decal to form on Zenith if it is related to a Fizzalter, or Lucretia if it is related to a Psyalter. These decals only last a few hours, unless I'm focused on maintaining them.
In writing. What about negative recoils?
You're not clever. Anyway, I was getting there. A negative recoil occurs when I find the person I'm copying absolutely revolting, regardless of if it's their personality or their appearance. It makes me feel as though I'm losing myself and becoming the very filth I detest. So I purge the assimilated ability from my body. And yes, this takes the form of violent projectile vomiting, or seizure-inducing cringing, which breaks my focus and completely wipes any decals from both Zenith and Lucretia. Alright, I'm gone. If I stay physical for much longer, I'm going to start puking.
You know the cadence by now.
Sabbath Downs, 17, Vigilante.
Whoa, are you okay? You look really tired.
Just done with everything.
Valid. But I'm still going to need this information for the files, so you're going to have to perk up a bit.
All right, proceed.
I just need your subalter and manifest weapon.
Oh, lovely. We get to talk about the results of my failures.
Failures? This is the 5th time this has been brought up. What exactly are you not telling me?
Let's just say,
I am the world's worst little brother. Hey, it's not your turn yet. Now, Sabbath, since you are the last fragment I'm interviewing, I'm going to give you the most difficult question I have before we get back to the information I need. Are you ready?
if I said no, would you let me go?
No.
Hurry up. Sleep calls.
What was the saddest moment during your tenure as a student at Victor Harros?
The reckoning of the 7.
What happened?
The fragments and I exacted the toll for being greedy. We lost too much to justify what we gained.
Can I ask what exactly you lost and gained?
We lost all our friends, all our powers, and our bodies.
Pardon?
We were sentenced to an unfair punishment by an unfair God.
Okay, then. That may have crossed into confidential information, but I'll let it slide. Just tell me what your subalter and manifest weapon are, so we can get out of here.
Subalter? Oh, stress eater. I can eat people's stressors, and I am what I eat.
Wait, so you become the reason a person stresses?
Yes, I can eat either social stress or work stress, with the prior being a taunt and defense buff, and the latter being a productivity boost for both me and the target.
That's the most I think I've ever heard him talk. How about your manifest weapon?
It's a scythe.
No description or name?
It's just a scythe.
Okay, thank you, I guess. Let's speed through the formalities, shall we?
With pleasure. Inu Desiree, 17, crime-fighting enjoyer.
So what's your deal?
I assume you're asking why I'm a girl, right?
Bullseye.
Because I wanted to be.
Fair enough.
Now, I implore you not to ask me about the incident, because I won't tell you.
Okay, I get it. Before I ask about your subalter and manifest weapon, I want to delve into your childhood a bit.
Oh, my childhood? Ask away.
When you were growing up, how did you handle being 7 different people at once, especially with the ones not in control being essentially ghosts?
Actually, the spirit thing was a method we developed during school. Prior to that, we actually all existed with each other in parallel. The biggest downside was that we had no way of communicating with the other fragments outside of being unconscious, which allowed us to convene in our dreams.
That sounds awful.
It gets worse. As Vi described, our brain basically functions like an airport, the central brain being the control tower and the fragmented brains being the individual planes. In this linear structure, the control tower could only give commands and information to one plane currently in flight.
So when a situation calls for another fragment...
It had to first sever connections with the current fragment and then call up the next, and that fragment would have no idea what was happening, or what just happened. All they would know is that it demanded their influence.
I can imagine this led to more than a few misunderstandings.
Yeah, which is why we're related when we hit puberty.
That's a sentence I don't think I've heard before.
You would be too if it meant being able to realize that the cause of your frequent blackouts was because 6 other people were sharing your body.
I guess you're right. Although I hate to pop a cork in your passion, we do need to hurry things along.
Alright. My subalter is burnout. It allows me to turn my intrigue or passion for any given subject into fuel that infuses with my hair, and once my passion reaches a fever pitch, I enter a transcendental state called ambition overdrive.
So how exactly does that work? Passion tends to overlap with other emotions.
I act as a conduit for unison. In other words, I can increase the intensity of other emotions. I can force unison.
So what is this unison you speak of?
Exactly what it sounds like. One or more fragments possess control at the same time, working in tandem to complete the same goal.
Is it easier for closer emotions like you and Ray to unify than, say, Nth and Sabbath?
Yeah, but it usually depends on the situation.
Does ambition overdrive have any effect on unison?
You have no idea. In fact, while I'm in ambition overdrive, it becomes significantly easier to become unifons.
All right, enough about your subalter, and tell me about your manifest weapon.
It's a whip sword. It is these badass interlocking scale-like links for the blade that are connected by a cable of pure passion. The handle is a mixture of cutlass and Zweihander, constructed from our shared handle, and my immaculate attention to detail. My brothers didn't care to push their manifest weapons to their absolute limit, so I took the liberty of pushing all the limits myself.
Okay there, hotshot, don't make me get the fire extinguisher.
I'm riding this wave all the way out.
Thanks, and goodbye, Inu.